Welcome back to Fantasy Poolies Footy Show, and welcome to the technical area, a brand new interview series from the team behind Fantasy Poolies Footy Show. This segment is where tactics meet storytelling. Each episode, we step off the pitch and into the minds of the coaches, thinkers, and football professionals shaping the modern game. From grassroots to pro, from locker rooms to touchlines, the technical area dives deep into coaching journeys, tactical evolution, and player development. Scouting, strength and conditioning, and the real conversations that happen behind the scenes in football. So whether you're a player, coach, or just someone who loves the chess match within the beautiful game, this is where you'll find real insight, lived experience, and of course, our regular banter and a lot of personality. Our first guest, none other than Patrice Gheisar, head coach of Halifax Wanderers in the CPL and one of Canadian soccer's brightest tactical minds. Tap in, take notes, and get ready to rethink the game. This is the technical area. Before we get started, big thank you to all of our listeners for the love, downloads, DMs, and overall positive feedback we receive. We don't take it for granted, guys. So if you're new here, be sure to hit the download, subscribe button, leave a review and rating on our podcast platform or YouTube. And if you haven't already, just tap in overall. A big thank you to our sponsors also, Addison Albert Events, bringing you the most luxurious weddings and personal events, and the Genius Studios for all your B2B marketing and corporate event needs. As mentioned, today's guest is Patrice, head coach of Halifax Wanderers in the CPL, former Vaughan Soccer Club high performance and League One coach, and Fred and former coach of yours truly on the pod. Pat, welcome.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I'm a little bit sad that I didn't get the three amigos. I'm going to give a shout out and tell Mr. Penna that he broke my heart, but that's okay. We'll work through it together.
Lou, what kind of gear you got there on today?
My Poolies gear. You kidding
Your
me?
Poolies gear, eh?
Yeah.
You didn't want to wear your Halifax?
Listen, shout out to my boy Dylan Carrero. I had a Valor jersey because God forbid Pat didn't give me any jersey Halifax. I do have an are known at Halifax shorts, but I don't know what I was going to wear it on my head. Like I was.
It's funny because I don't have a Halifax jersey either. I was talking to our boy CT. I was like, hey, can you drop a jersey over this morning? I thought for sure he had one, and he's like, nah, Pat hasn't given me one either. We're low on Halifax merch right now.
Listen, he owes me Michigan sweater. He owes me Halifax jersey. The only thing he's got me is the best mattress on earth. And honestly, I can't complain.
Okay. Listen, I'll put this out there. Well, our second game's at York. I will have something for both of you at that game. Guaranteed.
Not Penna because he's not here.
No,
not Penna because he's not here.
He's out. I don't know who he's with. I don't know who he's really rooting for. So, yeah, it's the three of us together. I guarantee you. And you could tell CT, forget it. He doesn't come to any of our games, so he's not getting any love from Halifax. So you guys,
I haven't been either.
All right, that's fair. That's fair,
guys. Let's give our listeners, Pat. I'm going to go through a brief bio here. It'll be like a time capsule machine here. So Patrice is a seasoned Canadian soccer coach who began his journey by dedicating 16 years to Vaughan Soccer Club, focusing on high-performance player development and post-secondary pathways. As a VSC coach, he secured many Ontario Cups over the years while helping many young footballers earn scholarship opportunities in the U.S. He then stepped into the full-time head coaching role at VSC in League One, where he holds a record of 41 wins, 2 losses, and 5 draws between the regular season and playoffs. And over that time, Vaughan scored 173 goals, conceded 59 for a plus 114 goal differential. In November 2022, Gheisar was appointed head coach of Halifax Wanderers, marking his entry into the CPL. Under his guidance, the Wanderers demonstrated some progress which earns Gheisar CPL Manager of the Month award in June 2023. His coaching philosophy emphasizes attacking play and player development. And so let's start where you are right now, Pat. The third season with Halifax, with one playoff appearance over 2 seasons, about to kick off the 2025 season. A lot of buzz around the squad. Let's talk about where things stand heading into 2025 and what you're building over there in Nova Scotia. What's got you excited about 2025 and maybe a touch worried about 2025 as well?
Yeah, I mean, listen, 2023 was a season to take a lot of positives from. It's a year that we ended up having the most nominations we've ever had in CPL. And I was nominated for Coach of the Year We had several players that were nominated for Best 11. We finished tied for second, broke 12 club records. And 2024 was a year that I think we failed to deliver what we wanted to do. We failed to hit our goals. And the learning was really, ignore the noise, take away pressure, and just enjoy the football. So what has me excited is that's the behavior I've seen in our preseason. We've played 5 games so far, and every game I could see the joy. I could see that there's no pressure. I could see that we are demanding a lot of ourselves. I could see the type of behaviors we need to be a championship team. And look, what's got me worried is I'm always a guy that talks about consistency. It's great to do it today, but can you do it for 200 more days? Can you do it when there's 8,000 fans at Ottawa for the opening game? Can you do it on the 89th minute when you're winning 1-0? I think consistency is a challenge for Inter Milan, for Juventus, and our beloved Barca. So it's no different for us.
And nice. And so you mentioned championship. I was going to ask, how do you define success this year for the Wanderers? Is it a championship or return to the playoffs? Like, what does success look like in 2025 in Halifax?
Yeah, I think this is where we took some of the learnings. We had so much goals in most of the polls last year and most of the reviews. We were picked to finish first last year. And I think that just had so much weight on such a young team. Look, we have our goals, of course, playoffs, but more with the playoffs, for me, it's a playoff game at home. Our fans are incredible, and we want to bring that. Of course, above that is to host the finals here. My goodness, what would that be? Incredible. But I think the first goal is one game at a time, enjoy the game to its fullest. You win, it's over, concentrate on the next. You lose, it's over, concentrate on the next. And I think one of the biggest challenges for a player in CPL and a coach is to shake off results before the next game. And that is something we're committed to.
You're only as good as your next game, right, Lou?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But shout out to the Halifax fans, and because definitely in my year at York United, when I was the kit man, I have PTSD about it, and I hope I'll never have to do that again. But Halifax was the best. Amazing city and amazing fans. I loved it. I think even I got beat at one point. I was just in the back with jackets.
I got to tell you, people still talk about you. Like when we play York, they're like, yo, where's the guy from year 1? We want him back. So I'm glad that you guys had to go at me. But I think it's maybe my turn to kind of flip the script. He's been here.
You can interview us.
Zach Zizzoli was here last year to watch a game. And they were here for me and my family and the team. Are you guys planning to visit Halifax this summer?
You know what? I'd like to. Well, what am I doing? I have 22 jobs, Patrice.
Hey, now we get 23. Maybe we could do a podcast live at the grounds with the fans behind us.
You got to hook us up with your social team then. Let's collab. We'll do a college game day style. Now we're talking.
We're talking like tickets for you guys, some scarves, unlimited drinks before the podcast, and then we just fly away. So
I still haven't heard about a jersey though. I heard a scarf.
And you're not getting
tickets, but no jersey, eh?
You might get a hat. You might get the hat.
Yeah, 2. We'll give you a 2 in July. We gotta get you guys here, man. And listen, but Lou, you're right. It's just absolutely crazy here, man. It's absolutely crazy here. They love it.
And for context for our listeners out there, Luca's PTSD stems from his stint as the York United kit man, where he was traveled with the team and he was the kit man for, we lost Lou, he's reconnecting. But Pat, thinking about the roster this year, there's been a little bit of turnover, some new faces and some faces that departed. How do you manage the locker room, with the familiar faces that you have, like Telfer, for example, Rampy, and the arrival of some new ones, and how has that bonding been over in England for preseason?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we're actually returning 16 players, which is the second most in CPL after Calgary. Even Forge is only returning 12. And listen, I'm mentioning Forge because let's be honest, they're a team that set the standards on the way they've won so many multiple championships. So I think 16 shows the commitment that I had in the previous era, in the past 2 seasons, and all the work that's been done and not just judging it by the results. And I think, listen, people depart sometimes based on they may want a different feel and a different voice. And sometimes I want them to depart because I also want someone who has a fresh take to the things that I'm trying to teach them. So and look, there's no hard feelings. It just happens. It's part of the game. And, I heard this quote that's always stayed with me that says, good teams are led by coaches. Great teams are led by the players. So, you spoke about Mr. Telfer on his own charm of the way he has his charm, and Rampy, and, you're talking about TMG. You're talking about Julian Dunn. These are the guys that are controlling our change room. These are the guys that, along with like Lorenzo Caligari, then when the new players come, they take them in, they make them feel important and integrating them to the group. Like, honestly, the work you do on the field is important, but the work off the field is just integral. And last year, our preseason was Toronto, Vancouver, Seattle, Vancouver. We were on houses beside each other. In England, we were together like 24 hours a day, pretty much for 14 days. So I definitely have a different feel in my stomach today with the integration of the group and how close we are than we did last year. And funny enough, the year before, we went to Florida and it was similar. We were together like 18-hour days, 19-hour days. And look, sometimes you're just like, man, I'm getting sick of this guy. Well, when you land, you touch down at Halifax, you're like, you know what? I'm going to miss these guys and we're not around each other all the time. So it's the balance, man. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys with your experience how important the locker room and the love of brotherhood and a family is above tactics and the field and stuff.
You hear it all the time, right? You hear it all the time. Like, what do you miss the most? You kidding? Like, I miss the bus ride. I miss after the game. I miss hanging with my boys. Like, everyone will say that because that's the best part of footy, right? And
yeah, it is.
I'm thankful I got these guys now. They're my best friends. And what do we share? We share championships together, right? Yeah. And that'll build the biggest bond, right? So, we wish you success for sure.
Let me ask you
Can I ask you a question, though? Can I ask you a question?
Sure, of course.
Speaking of players, have you ever had a moment with Telfer where you just nodded, but you didn't understand a word he said? Like, when he hits you with that.
So I think he's asked me if he can get extra days off. And I think for me, my natural instinct when I don't understand something, I'd rather just go with yes, right? Rather than no. Because he could be saying, hey, I want to do extras today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one time he came up to me. He's like, yo, but go yeah.
Patrice. He always go, Patrice.
He calls me Pep. He calls me Pep all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So I said, yes. He didn't show up to practice the day after. Yo, where's Telfer? They're like, he said he had something to do and he needed to do recovery. He asked for an extra day. He said, yeah. It's like, oh, man. So there's more than one of those moments. But honestly, speaking about him, I'll go on record in any way to say he's the most underrated player in this league.
My boy. And I swear, you could do a Canadian version, ESPN 30 for 30 on him because his journey is something special.
No, you can't. You can't do it. Because if he's ever on public television, we're canceled. Everybody. Yes.
It's true.
Telfer's like, we should do a TV show with all the characters we have. I'm like, Telfer, we'll be canceled after one episode after the audience hears something you said. He's old school. Listen, he's old school. He's so old school in the way, in his bullying-ish comments. Yeah. And he has a goal, but like, it's so proper. I love the guy, man. I'm so happy. But, yeah, so let me ask you guys a question. Welcome to Patrice's podcast. I'd like to introduce Andrea Lombardo, established player who was very open-minded to all of my suggestions, and Luca Forno, who I just gave one feedback to. Shoot. What part of my job do you see, or any head coaching in the pro ranks? Break it down for me. Percentage, tactics, man management, setting a culture. I'd love to hear you guys' take. Tell me.
Okay. So for me, I know how much man management is, like how important it is. I think, that's a big role I have where I'm at. And it's always been my forte as a coach, I would say. I mean, I've learned from Carm tactically. Me, I'll put it at 50% tactics. Okay. 50% tactics. I would say 30% man management, maybe 40% management. And what was the other one? 10%
Setting
culture?
culture, a happy, positive culture.
No, I take this back. I'm going to go 40 tactics, 30, 30. 40, 30, 30 for me.
Now, Pat, you're talking about the head coach's role or the coaching
coach.
staff as a
Head
whole?
coach. No, head coach.
Coach. I think so. I'm going to go tactics, man management, culture. I'm going to go culture is going to be about 60%. Man management, I think, is going to be about, I'm going to say 20%, and then another 20% tactics, because I'm leaning on my coaching staff. I need to feel confident, and I can say this, you made a comment about me being very open-minded to your suggestions. This, the growth of human beings and the growth of people is that, it happens at all different stages and all different times in life. So back then I wasn't, but I recognize now, if I was a head coach, I need to build my staff with people who compliment me, people who bring different opinions and challenge me. And I have to be okay with getting those opinions. But I'm going to lean on a lot of my staff to and work with them on that tactical part. But I think setting a culture and managing your players and ensuring that you're listening to them. You talk about days off. When do they need an extra day off? When do you need to put when do you need to put your foot on the gas pedal and say, guys, we got to do a double this week because it was terrible last week? That to me is the head coach's responsibility. So I think for me, I'm a little bit different than Lou there, but I don't think there's a right formula. I mean, I think depending on who the head coach is,
absolutely,
those numbers will change depending on who the coach is.
I agree with that.
You look at Ancelotti compared to Pep, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, Pep's a lot of tactics, right? But less man management. And I think, if I'm guessing Ancelotti is like 30% tactics, 70% everything else. And I do believe that's the formula. Because look, you could have the greatest tactics in the world. But if you don't have happy players who want to do it, it doesn't make a difference.
You need buy-in.
You could have average tactics, but have guys that are happy, that are willing to die. Don't create things out of their own and do things. So, okay.
Hey, we like the question. Flip the script. I rate it. Rate it.
Back to you guys.
Hey, so
let's Step Brothers when they started when they interviewed the interviewer. Go on. Sorry.
No, you're good. Pat, the listeners might know you as a pro coach now, some of them. But obviously you didn't just wake up in that role. So let's rewind a bit. Take us back to how this all started, the early years, what, made you fall in love with footy, the Vaughan days, obviously a couple of Vaughan guys here. We're really focused on, we'd love to spend some time on those Vaughan days and really what shaped you into the coach you are today. So how did the coaching journey actually begin for you? And I think it's important because we do have a lot of, I think, coaches who listen into the podcast, youth coaches on the weekends, nights, people who are putting in the time. So how did the coaching journey actually begin for you? And when and where did you fall in love with football?
Yeah, so it started, I feel like, I don't know how you feel about destiny, but I feel like this was always meant to be for me because everything lined up after it, There was one move after another move after another move that just kind of guided me to do this. I started, tail end playing. I was at the Hearts, and then with Pavan Musavat, who's a very well-known coach and someone that all three of us, Penna's not here, sorry, but in spirit, hold dearly close to us, and we know how influential it's been. Kind of got me into coaching. And then, as you guys know, there was that amalgamation or partnership between CS Missouri and North York Hearts. And that's when I got to know Carm. And then I think Carm got me going in coaching my first one, helping Hearts Missouri with the 84, 6, 7. And then the first team I took was Hearts Missouri 88. And then 89s. And, as you know, that club meant the world to me. And I think to you guys as well. I will, to this day, say I probably would have kept my beautiful hair if it wasn't through the hydrofields at Esther Shiner. We all got a side effect or something, That's a different story.
I still got a full set.
Yeah, me too.
I played on that field steady.
Each of us, but I bet you have a deficiency that you don't want to talk about here.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I'm sure something happened to each of us, right? So, but look, it's my destiny. Look. Yeah.
There was nothing worse than getting a game scheduled and you see Esther Schreiner 3 or Esther Schreiner 4. You're like, Dad, I'm not going today. I'm not going today.
It was like the D path. There was one where like people walked through, and during the game, they would walk through sometimes to go to the other side. There's a game going on.
Yeah, the best is like when there's raining too. I felt like I was elevated from the ground because between the electricity and the water, there was all kinds of things. So anyway, but look, a big part of who I am, and you guys know this, is about loyalty. I don't know what would have happened. Like I love that club dearly, you know, everything about that club. But as you know, they took a different route and they weren't going to do teams about 14. And that's when Carm came to Vaughan, Missouri, and Carm asked me to join him. And I think that was the turner on everything. I came to Vaughan. The first team I took was 1991. So,
Jeez.
Yeah, what a story. What a story. And it couldn't have been, and look, I've worked with all the CSO teams, and there were some interesting characters, but none like the nuns that I had. You know, some names to shut out are Massimo Mirabelli.
You got to give us your best match. A little bit later, you got to give us your best match story.
It's in the hot takes, so park that.
Oh, okay. We got to roll. You can think about that one because we need your best match.
No. I got some.
Wait for it.
You know, David Alva. You know, there were some real strong characters.
Who was the guy who used to tailor his jersey? Was he on 91s or is he on 92s? Carabetta.
Oh, yeah, Calabretta, 92.
My bad.
You made my wedding suits. Yeah. So, listen, I kind of got in with and at this point, I was just trying to find out what's going on, you know? And when I took the 91s the first year, and Vaughan at this point, guys, had 24 rep teams. Today, we have like 60. Vaughan High HP didn't even exist. We weren't known. And the 91s, there was a first team and a second team. There were an OYSL, God bless its soul. OYSL's been responsible for so much great football players that are playing in the men's national team today. And then I took the second team, was a team with all like Spanish league players. I merged the teams and we became great. We won the league in my first year in a very competitive age group. And year two, shout out Roger Thompson joined us and many other good players. And we became a super team. And I think that was the birth of me as a coach who wanted to do more than just keep bodies moving and see what happens. This was my first encounter. And when we went to a showcase, we had like 100 coaches around us asking for everyone. And on that team, we had like 2 guys who had about 50 average. So it really worked out for both of them. Kyle McCauley's a doctor and Millivan did very well. So it was then that I think Vaughan HP in my mind started to be born. And then the 92s started going. And that's when the CS Missouri 92s came. Shout out with my guy, Joe Amato and his company, they came. And look, guys, the team was in second in the lower ones. We got promoted to OYS, won Ontario Cup. And things started to roll now. And, you know, skip a few years to the 97s. And that's one for me. And then to answer that question, I was like, okay, I got to do more. I have players that are just getting better. Kamal Miller, Dane St. Clair, Dallin Harris, 98s, Munir Saleh, Alliston Johnston, Crazy Dwayne Ewer, Trey McCullough, Niall Higgins.
So this VSC factory that you're talking about,
yes,
because it really has been a factory in Ontario for players and coaches aspiring to reach the next level.
Yeah,
I put it up there. You know, we know the landscape pretty well. You know, place. There's many clubs who do a great job. Vaughan, Sigma do a great job producing players. But focusing here on Vaughan and that factory, you're talking about these 97 players like Dane, Kamal, later on Ali, Raposo, you know, all the guys who have come through. You talked about just a moment ago about working with Carm and moving over to Vaughan. Talk about the impact, the leadership of someone like Carm or even Serge DeLuca as the TD there now at the club has had on your coaching career. Like what has made this Vaughan environment special? And how did you grow up, I guess, as a coach where you said, like, you know, the wheels are starting to turn where, you know, I'm trying to do more than just, you know, maybe potentially just, you know, love soccer and be on the field. Like, you know, CI, Serge, how did the club help this come to fruition? And what's been so special? Like, what's in the sauce here at Vaughan?
Yeah, listen, I think Serge hadn't joined us at that point. It was just Carm and I, right? And I was just trying to do high performance. And the fields, guys, you should have seen McDonald back in the day. It was a grass field. that you could barely play at. And
I don't even remember that. I don't remember it being a grass field.
that's where it was. That's where it was. And I had a bag of 10 balls, and I borrowed many other balls from other teams, which I've yet to return.
Sounds on brand. That sounds on brand.
You used to come to training and there's 20 different balls, but all good ones. All good ones. Well, you know what it was in there, honestly, I used to argue with Carm, and I still do every day, but it was done with respect and it was done with support. He let me be myself. I made tons of mistakes to figure out who I want to be. And I think it was really at the 97 age group that I said, I can do something here. And it was only because I had such great players. I started to network with schools in the US. I would have great relationships, and so many of our players were getting better opportunities than other programs because I had a relationship for them to go to NCAA. And now you started to see it pay its dividends by them getting drafted. And I'm like, you know what? I got to do more. I have a great role here, and I got to do more. And look, and there, my son, when Matthias was born, you started learning about sacrifices. I had to leave 5 days after he was born to the Canadian National Championship, and many more birthdays and things that we have all missed as players and coaches. So I think Carm, for me, spoke about sacrifice. He let me be. And I think the greatest thing he did is let me go to him with my questions and concerns and frustration, rather than him breathing down my neck and saying, you should have done it this way. You should have done it that way. And look, we can all use someone to say that I believe in you. And Carm still continues to say that he's one of my supporters and one of my biggest supporters, and anything I've asked for, he's provided for me. So I couldn't have asked him more. And, we remember the good things. 2 losses in League One, I remember really, really well. But I've made a lot of mistakes before I got there, man. A lot of mistakes. And he never said, I told you so. He never said I would have done it differently if I was you. He never said that. So, and, as later than Serge joined as well, it was another great person to bounce around ideas. And I think, when you start climbing the ladder, Andrea and Luca, as you guys have seen, people around you are sometimes bound to just say yes to whatever you say, because they think of you as a person of a higher caliber. And Serge and Carm never say yes. And if I told Serge sky's blue, he would say, no, it's gray. And he would have a rebuttal and something to go about. But it's really important to have people that challenge you, because that's how you grow and that's how you keep an open mind. So I think each of them had a different role, but very important ones.
Nice. And Lou, quickly, because you're at Vaughan now. I know we're here talking to Pat, but you're at Vaughan now. How have things continued, I guess? And what is it for you that's in the sauce? I mean, OPDL technical director right now at Vaughan. How is it? How do you see? Because for me, a big part is, I think, and it was back then with you, Pat, and still is now, I think it's a place where we welcome players who, I don't want to say feel slighted, but maybe overlooked. And, it's not a knock on any program out there, whether it be professional programs and whatnot. People make decisions and they do what they think is best. But I always see a common denominator in those names that have come out of Vaughan, or even, Mark Anthony, for example, who didn't come out of Vaughan, but came out of York. These are people who have had some adversity, some no's in their life. And Vaughan has welcomed them and said, hey, the journey's not done. It's just getting started. This is not the end of the road, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, our success is due to us being a family, right? It's no different than a successful soccer team. I think we all get along. Shout out to, we call it Negroni Hill now, is where we go watch League One games. But seriously, Vaughan, we're a family. We all get along. And, like Patrice said, if I need to be told to do something differently, I will be told, but in a proper way, right? It's not like I'm there and I feel inferior to people and I'm doing things wrong, but they let you be you, because in coaching, there's no right way to do things. We all have our own styles and we all have our own identities. And I think that's important to express, right? You need to adapt to certain things. Like, the game does evolve and you need to adapt. And I think that's where Serge is the best leader you can have, because he brings that to our attention and he guides us properly. And that's the thing with Serge, he guides us. And Carm as well. I mean, we've all built our foundation from Carm, right? Me, Serge, Patrice, everyone. We did start with Carm, and that's why he's the godfather of soccer, I would say. Obviously, I'm a little biased, But yeah, it's definitely that. I want to mention something that I heard at an MLS draft one time, and this is thanks to Vidori, Patrice, Carm, Serge, that they called it the pipeline at Vaughan Soccer. Do you remember that, Patrice?
Yeah, I was actually there. It was at Chicago. I was there in person. Yeah.
Imagine this: we're just a community club, and the MLS draft is calling us the pipeline. Like, that's something to be talked about. I also was in Philly recently, talked to Chris Manella, who's the head scout there with the youth development. Used to play for Toronto FC, great guy. And he mentioned that his sporting director, and Philadelphia Union has one of the best youth academies in North America, mentioned, do you know the Vaughan guys? Like, that were known. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to Tony, Nick, and the board and everyone there who stepped in Patrice's role, and he's doing an amazing job. And we're still the best in getting scholarships. Let's face it, right? We get kids in a big program.
You talk about Nicky Numbers. Nicky Numbers brought in so much ways of supporting to continue to grow this program. For people that don't know him, Nicky Numbers is Nick Raimondo. And,
Nicky Darts, Nicky Numbers.
Yeah. But, from when I was on my own with the High Performance 798, after I started adding more of the staff, I don't think I did anything normal. I'm afraid if Alistair or Kamal or some of these guys come up with some funny stories, it would be ridiculous. Like,
so we need to reach out to them to get them on the next technical area segment, is what you're saying.
Look, we have had trips that we've gone to play NCAA schools, and we ended up having like 3 games on one day. We were going to play NCAA school, and on the way back, I was like, let's do one more game. I will call someone, we will play. No, I'm not kidding, but you know what?
No, we don't think you're kidding. We know.
Yeah, we know. It's serious.
We know.
But I'll tell you this, out of each of those adventures, guys, another kid got a scholarship. Every single adventure led to another player getting success. And I think for me, I was always player driven. Like, I want to help every kid get a scholarship. Our 98s, we had 16 full scholarships, which I will still challenge if it's going to ever happen again now. With things being different through portal and stuff. But yeah, I think just saying do things differently is perfectly normal. And trying to be a hustler, man, I would work the sidelines. I knew and I still know every single college coach there is. And each of them would echo these crazy stories that they hear. But they knew our kids are different. We're the first to open up a relationship with mom. And those games, I coach in CPL, and I've had some great games. We just played Fulham. Some great games, but man, I remember that Montverde, Vaughan games. They were incredible games. So as few things stay with you. So us getting out of our boundaries and not staying status quo, us doing what's best for our players is what's leading us here. And I hope that stays. But I do find a lot of players' as mentalities are changing. You hear these days, when a kid gets a scholarship, they're like, I don't want to go to the next tournament because I don't want to spend the money. But then that other kid who doesn't have a scholarship, who plays on the wing, now the centerman's not going. He's not going to get the passes he needs to get the exposure he wants. And we never had that. So I really hope that kind of sacrifice continues, because it's about the individuals within the team. So it's not about you getting your scholarship and you're done. It's all of us working toward every individual.
Nice. And so let's bring it back to Canadian footy now, because obviously we got a big year ahead in the CPL 2025, a World Cup on the horizon here that we're hosting in 2026. Nations League just wrapped up with Canada picking up 3rd there and dropping a heartbreaker against Mexico in the semis. What excites you most about where Canadian football is going? What worries you? And what's next for the CPL? We're just here talking footy, so yeah, it's nobody here trying to trap people and get you to say something. Like, we're genuinely, you're in it, and who better to hear it from? What's next? What do you think is next for the CPL, and from what you can share?
So listen, from Canadian footy, what's exciting is the team is in front of us. And what's exciting is Jesse. Jesse Marsh is like man of the people. He's picking players based on what he's seen and what's happened in the past. Guys, it's crazy to think Dane started those 2 games, but Dane never played in the U17 national team. because he wasn't part of a pro academy. But in the current men's national team, how many of them came from pro academies? So I think Jesse's just looking at the players that are progressing and how they're doing. And it's frightening the type of players we're producing, and I think that's the team's identity's clear, their game model's clear, and Jesse's the perfect guy, because to have a coach that has a game model that gets the best out of their players is the definition of something great. And what's scary is, how do we keep growing? How do we keep producing these players? Can we keep producing where's the next Bambito and Alistair Johnston? And, can it keep going? I think so, but it's a question you have to think. CPL, what is happening that's exciting? Well, everyone knows this. We need more teams. More teams means more jobs. Both of you guys should be in CPL in different capacities. And I think we need more and more good people, but there are only so many positions. We need the best of the best in this league. And you guys should be doing football full-time. Luca Forno should not have 22 jobs, and he should be working at a CPL club, in my opinion, in different capacities. So we need more teams, and it is coming. And I really hope, from what I'm hearing, it'll be 2 new teams next year. And that means, what does that mean? Okay, for sure, it means less travel.
I was gonna say, because you guys, you told me about the travel in the past. It can get daunting for you guys out in Halifax, right?
Our combined travel is the highest in any sport in the world. Our total kilometers that we travel in any. Our trip to Victoria is the second longest trip in global sports after a hockey team in Siberia. So our travel's insane. So more teams means, but look, I don't want to make this selfish and say we need more teams for Halifax. Sure, it'll help every team with their operational budget. It'll mean all that, but 2 more teams means, 40 more jobs for players. It means 10 more staff jobs. And it means more exposure. It means more young players getting an opportunity. So I think we need more teams. So excited, and it's a little thing, but as you've seen our schedule come out, there'll be a lot of games on TSN now. So there's 4 games in April on TSN. There'll be plenty more to come. And I think that's super exciting, right? Now we're on, TSL level. And what's next? You got to keep going that. So I don't know how many games have the soccer fans watch for CPL. But guys, the standard of the league from today to year 1 is incredible how much it's grown. So we need to keep it growing, but now we need more teams, we need more exposure, and we need more people like yourself. Forget Penna. He has a great job. We can't afford to hire him, and he's not even here, so we could say that about him.
You probably have sweet platinum club access at all the airports in Canada. Like, how many miles you got there under your belt?
A lot. Yeah, last year I was platinum of WestJet, and we didn't even fly to every trip with WestJet. So yeah, you go to the lounge. Yeah, but look, it's difficult. Year 1, I really felt it, but you just got to get on with it, and yeah, for sure. So I think that's what's next for CPL. But the league has grown so much, guys. The league has grown so much, and it's going to continue to grow.
Okay, you ready for some half volley hot takes?
Let's go.
So loosen the tie a little bit. Time to fire off some spicy takes here, some quick ones, okay? So the most misunderstood or hardest part of being a coach in the CPL?
Okay. Managing, never being too high, never being too low. Maintaining a relationship and remaining positive with your players, regardless of the result, and keep being positive and keep growing and not taking that work home. Whether you're tired, whether you lost or you won, you can't take that result home. You got to create a separation. So I think that's like 3 answers, but it gets difficult, man. When you lose, when you don't play well, you feel alone, and you go home, you act alone. And then that's when a disconnect starts to happen. So it's a really challenging part. And look, I think I've learned so much about it, and I'm ecstatic that my family's here this year at Halifax and things.
I was going to say that's probably going to help, because I'm a newish dad. My kids are younger than yours, but when everybody knows me, I'm extremely competitive. Like, you couldn't talk to me after a loss for days. But, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, they don't know why you're mad. You get home.
Yeah, so I think that's been, listen, and I know this is supposed to be quick answers, but where I felt the biggest loss is last year we beat Forge 3-0 at home. And it was arguably from what I was told, the greatest performance the Halifax Wanderers have ever had at a home game. Stayed at the grounds, had a beer, went home, and I was like, okay, now what? I'm alone. I have no one to celebrate with. I have no one to smile. And you do a FaceTime for 5 minutes, but Matty's got so many games. Monica's driving Zara, Matthias here. So I felt alone. So being able to share our passion with our loved ones, that's what coaching is. I think that's what life is, right? So yes, that's my answer.
Plug to, if you're a big Philly Eagles fan, AJ Brown, the Inner Excellence book that he was reading on the sideline that went viral. I bought it. I started reading it. And that's like in one of the first pages is that like so many athletes talk about, they were so goal oriented, driven. We want to win championships. But then when you actually do it, it's like that feeling goes away. And then it's like, okay, now what? Now what? How do I? And Lou, I'm sure it's no different, national championships at the U Sports level, the levels are a bit different, but the feeling is the same, that feeling of work and sacrifice and that dopamine that, like we did it, we won, right? But I'm sure having your family there this year, Pat, will be a big one for you.
For sure. Huge. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Next one. The one matchup on the CPL schedule when it drops that you're circling. Is it Bobby and Forge, given, your friendship and your history, coming back home to York and coaching in front of family and friends? But is it different year 1 to year 3? Like what are you circling when it comes out?
I love Forge. I love, listen, guys, Bobby and I don't want to say it started the rivalry at Ontario Soccer, but when I had my downs and he had his downs with Kyle Becker and we had Roger Thompson, we used to play midnight games or 1 a.m. games at Ontario Soccer Center because there was no other facilities back then. That's how old we are. There was no other of these places. So I think I have a lot of respect for him. I hope he feels the same. And we have some great games. Our games are never boring. And I have respect for what he's done and what he continues to do. They play open style of football. We play open style of football. If they're here, they attack. If we're there, we attack. So, and look, there's something, I won't lie, about being back at home in Ontario that makes me warm and affectionate. So Hamilton is, 45-minute drive from Etobicoke, and going there, I love those games. I love playing Forge.
Luca's got the next two. Go, Lou.
Hey, one player that you coached that never made it. Who was that one player and why? Why do you think they didn't make it?
That's a tough one. I would say, I gotta say, like, there was something. I have to go with two because they're on the same team. There was something in Munir Saleh that I just loved, man. Money was a hunter. Yeah. He did everything at high speed. He did everything cover the ground. He was the ultimate competitor. It was so easy. He did not need any motivation, and he just wanted to run and fight, He was like a fast guard that drove fast all the time. And the other one is a player who, when he was on, I've still not seen anybody do his things, was Dwayne Ewart. And, Dwayne had some challenges with emotional management and saying the things that was on his mind. We think things that we shouldn't say and we don't, and he said it, and that created problems. But both of them were elite, and I think when I look back at both, I think I should have done a better job with them, helping them managing emotions and giving them more guidance and leadership. But they were both elite players, elite.
Sometimes it's hard though.
It is.
You want to help them, you want to try to manage them. Some guys will be guys, right?
They got to be in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
And I think, Lums, what sucks is that in few years, maybe now, they'll say exactly what you said, which is back then I should have done things differently. And what's funny, guys? Like for team events, they were the last guys to leave. They cleaned the tables. They were so courteous, so polite. But sometimes, for all of us, competitiveness brings out your worst, not your best.
Yeah.
And that's, if I could give two advices to young coaches and athletes, it's one, let competitiveness bring out the best in you. And two, you got to figure out your superpower. What is your X factor? Are you a around the shoulder kind of coach? Are you a striker that's lethal in the box? Like, you got to have a superpower that if someone says, hey, what is your best attribute? You're like, on mine, I could say
your elevator pitch.
Yeah, man. And look, I'll say this, and it's the first thing I told our guys when I got hired. I said, I work harder than any other coach you've ever met in your life. And I will do anything that it takes to support you guys.
Know your locker. Know your locker, play within it, right?
Yeah.
We always stress that. And it's like, you try to coach that. It's difficult sometimes. You just want to grab them by their shoulders and be like, just do this. This is what makes you, you.
I know. Listen, the best thing and the worst thing that happened to football was Pep, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be Pep. Everybody wants to be De Bruyne. Everybody wants to be these players, but
This guy listened to our last episode, eh? I rated, I rated. No, he didn't. Look at his face. He didn't listen to it.
Yeah, he didn't listen. They
guys,
didn't listen to it.
guys, I'm offended by this. I didn't go with my real name due to my popularity, so maybe that's how you didn't see it. So,
Next one. You're going to like this one.
Okay.
Because I've been a part of it before. And yeah, did you have practice this morning?
no, we're off today.
Oh, I was going to say, because you probably started at 5:30 a.m. if you were able to make this 10:30 session. What is the longest session you've ever run?
I'm gonna answer that question.
He pleads the fifth.
I will tell you this. Now the club did a great job. We have a proper strengthening and conditioning guy, and he's got experience in Europe. So we do a great job going through a periodization schedule. But it's crazy when you're at the session and something's not coming off. You're like, okay, 2 more minutes, 30 more seconds, 4 more minutes. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. And then, so I think like with experience, we're no longer going there, but at the heights of it, I would say probably we've hit 3-hour boundaries. Where we've
Has the city of Vaughan ever turned the lights off on?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, are you
And
kidding?
then everybody had to pull their cars in and turn the lights on like Field of Dreams?
How about parents back in the day hung horns, right? Like, let's go. So yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's amazing. Okay, this is a tough one, eh? I want your best Mass Mirabelli story.
Okay. It's difficult.
We're a family show, eh? We're a family show.
Well, no. I'm fully aware. So I can't give you the best one because we would get canceled.
I figured that.
I'll give the best one we can share. So we're doing like a phase attack in the opposition half. Okay. And Mass is more of an attacker that gets the ball and goes. You speak the tactics to Mass, if you're like, okay, Mass, every time I told him to tuck in when we were defending.
Mass was a winger for the listeners out there who might not know him.
And I kept thinking he kept tucking in his shirt to his shoulder. We can all be honest and say he was a raw talent. He wasn't an intellectual thinker. He wasn't Pirlo.
Yes, fair.
And that's a compliment. Hopefully that's a compliment in his family. So we're playing and he's like, Coach, we play too many switches. We got to go right down the middle. And that's deep thinking from us. Okay. So Daniel Tanous gets the ball, hits a diagonal in the air. Okay. Perfect ball. Perfect hit. Casey DeMello's looking at the ball, running. He's running. And I'm like, oh shit, there's a net right there. Does he see it? But Casey's looking in the air, fully running. Perfect ball. No backspin. He's about to take a touch, deliver goal. Except Casey fully ran into the post.
Where were you? What field?
McDonald, the graveyard.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay.
the graveyard. For the many that have been buried there by Jared Phillips and others. I call it the graveyard. Casey DeMello is out. We all run there, and it's probably not as funny, but you have to be there. We're all like super concerned. Like, I think he's done. Casey's out. He's cold. We don't know. And Mass runs like, oh, Tanous, this is why we say you don't hit long balls. Yeah, this is why we don't hit long balls. And we just die of laughter, man. So you just had to be in the circle. Everybody's concerned. And that was his take. I died of laughter.
Man.
Classic. There's a lot of Mass Mirabelli stories.
What
He
a
is
player.
classic.
What
a talent. There's another guy that he did end up playing pro.
No, he did.
But-
So I didn't put him on that list.
Yeah.
He did play. But that team with him and Roger Thompson.
I thought you were going to say Kova. I thought you were for sure going to say Kova.
But listen, you said, I want to rephrase Luca's question. You said didn't make it.
Yes, didn't make it. You're right.
Kova's still
You're
playing. The dream.
Fair.
In the past 2 money tournaments, he's gone to the finals. In the TST tournament, they won to the final. And now I understand he's transferred to a rival League One team. So I think he's just getting started.
No, there's
He's like
rumors he
Bruno
might be
Cab-
on his way back. Might be on his way back to the OSL team. That's what I'm hearing.
No.
That's what I'm hearing.
Did Nicky
Right,
Numbers cut the check? Now, surely there must have been a
No
transaction
chance.
made through Nicky.
Kova, it's over, Kova. This is my message to you. It's over, buddy. It's okay to play for Sons of CI in the summer and play for the OSL team.
I think, Koba, it's time when you think it's time. You got
That's nice. You're nice.
You got to
He's
keep.
like Bruno Caboclo. He's 2 years away from being 3 years away.
But he is fit, hey? He's fit as a fiddle. I'm just trying to get him to Suns. It's my
yes,
point.
yes.
Okay, last one, Pat, and then we'll get you out of here. You get your dream footy job, Barcelona, right? It's got to be Barcelona. Dream footy
Lums,
job.
I talked about this. I got to tell you, man. First of all, I'm
This
disappointed.
wasn't the question, by the way.
Okay, but I'm disappointed you guys didn't ask any Barcelona questions because we're at our top right now. We are right. Well, go ahead.
So you get your dream footy gig. You're building a roster from scratch. You know, you got a blank check. Who are you taking? First player on the roster, Luca, Penna, or Loms? You can only sign one of us.
Okay. So Penna back to goal, set pieces. Great. He used to get so mad at me at SC Toronto when I took him off. So I think he'll get mad at me at Barca if I take him off. He used to be livid.
He still gets mad coming off Sunday leagues or Friday leagues when Solti takes a 45-minute shift.
He's right.
You know what? I always thought, Lungs, you would be the best player in CPL today if Carm did you a favor and transformed you into a 6. And I feel like I was just getting started with you. I don't know if you remember. You know, I think if I have feedback for Carm, 2 players Carm under-delivered. One, Franco Rochetta. When Franco played for me, I transferred him into the modern day.
I hate you.
Yeah, listen, guys, Roosh under me was the Dollarama version of Luca Toni. Like, so
I can't believe that.
and he played beside Storm and Andy. What a triple threat, you know? And
that was good.
and I think Lums with you, if Carm played you as a 6, like I say Lums, I say spray it.
Couldn't play with Massmere, though.
Yeah. So now with Luca, I think Luca delivered whatever I asked him. I used to tell Luca to do this. So I got to go with the guy who's most true to himself as a 10, who is willing to take shots from half. So it's a really difficult one. So I would say if I have to, I'm going with Luca Forno.
Nice, Pat. I love you for that.
Sorry,
I love
man.
you for that.
I just
All right.
didn't get enough sets as a 6, man. And so when we talk about Carm's goal,
Yeah, I had a couple of center back performances that were stellar for Portugal FC.
remember that. I remember that. So
I'm confident I can play anywhere on the pitch.
we talk about Godfather of soccer, and I'm going to challenge him. Like, did he do enough with you as a holding mid or as a center back? Or did he do enough with, Roosh up front? Because Roosh is, again, I want to say it openly, he's the Dollarama version of Luca Toni. Right?
Roosh is Nicholas Bentner.
Oh, hey, he played for Arsenal. He did okay.
Yeah, good
man.
boy.
He did okay.
Hey,
But-
so did Luca Toni, by the way. He
Yeah.
did okay, too.
Who's going to
But
win?
Dollarama version.
Nice. Before we wrap up, I've got some quick questions I want to ask you. We get an answer in 5 seconds. Okay. Champions League, who's it going to?
Real Madrid.
Barcelona.
Yes. Okay. Best coach today in the world. Best coach in the world today.
Carlo Ancelotti.
I'm Ancelotti too. I love him every second.
I'm still true to Pep. I know I said he's ruined soccer, but I still stay with Pep. Okay, who's winning Ballon d'Or?
Mbappe.
Rafinha. Well, sorry. Whoever wins Champions League. If
I
it's
like-
Real Madrid, it's Mbappe.
But you got to
If
say
it's-
Rafinha because you have
I'll
Barca
say
winning.
Rafinha. Yeah.
Rafinha. And what a transformation he's gone. From an okay guy and Hansi Flick, a German coach in Barca. What a difference. 3 quick questions. That's all I got. Sorry.
All right.
Get back.
Well, guys, that wraps episode 1 of the technical area right here on Fantasy Poolies Footy Show. Massive thanks to our guest, Patrice Gheisar, for stepping into the studio and giving us time before the busy CPL season kicks off. kicks off next weekend. From Vaughan Soccer Club to the CPL touchline, Pat is not only building a team, he's helping build the next generation of Canadian talent. We appreciate the insight, the honesty, and of course, the best part, the banter and the laughs. Again, a quick shout out to our sponsors for this episode, Addison Albert Events and the Genius Studios. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, rate, review Fantasy Poolies Footy Show on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. We've got more incredible guests coming into the technical area, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. Guys, any super quick shout outs before we hit the end button here?
Shout out to Patrice's shoe game, better than Berhalter.
Nice.
Yeah, I got new ones. Wait till you see game one. You got to see game one. The guys loved it. They seen it. Thank you. No, listen.
Thank you.
Like I'm Halifax through and through. You know, Vaughan's always at my heart. So I appreciate you guys taking care of it. You know, there was never a point that I ever thought of if I would ever leave Vaughan for a lateral move. So continue to see its success and growth always makes me smile deeply. So, yeah.
We love that. Have a good season, Pat. Thanks for coming through.
Take care, guys.
See
Thanks
you
for
at the
having me
game.
on. Penna!